The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users. On demand on iTunes and on YouTube. And on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not, and where you should also be subscribing to my Twitter feed, twitter.com/GaryBaumgarten. Where you can read about all kinds of stuff in the news, some of which you may see and hear and read in the mainstream media, some of which you may not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated as well to 12 million additional households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Okay, Boaz, thank you. We're trying to get a hold of our guests today who we have not been able to make contact with, and I'm talking as loudly as I can, Boaz. All my volume is up full. Don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. You guys need me to shout? Can you guys hear me? Good here. Sounds good to me. Okay. Do not shout. Boaz, I'm going to bequeath you my hearing aid, which I don't wear any longer. I don't know if you guys heard, we're going to get to Afghanistan in just a second. But today was pro-Palestinian Day in the Islamic Republic of Iran. A day where the people are encouraged to come to the streets and support the Palestinians. That really translates into screaming slogans like "Down with Israel," "Down with the USA." So they were up there screaming, the pro-regime people, "Down, down, down with Israel." And everybody was supposed to yell, "Down, down, down with Israel." But they didn't. They said, "Down, down, down with Russia. Down, down, down with China. Down, down, down with the regime." Now, there are a lot of people who thought that this movement in Iran had been stifled. You know what movement I'm talking about? The reform movement that started after the so-called election. But obviously it has not. And I wanted to mention that before we went to our guest, and he may have something to say about that as well. That's not what we invited him here to talk about. But I wanted to mention it because to me, it's just unbelievable. You know, there's a group in Michigan of handicapped people, disabled people, who used to protest at every Jack Kevorkian trial, Jack Kevorkian, the suicide doctor. And the name of the group was Not Dead Yet. Because they were afraid that if we move forward with assisted suicide in the United States, people like them would be euthanized. Well, I can tell you that the reform movement in Iran is not dead yet either. And I don't understand the Ayatollahs, because you would think that the Supreme Leader and the other Ayatollahs would not have, if they were going to rig the election, put this guy Ahmadinejad back in as the so-called president of Iran, because he's such an embarrassment. Talking again about the elimination of the state of Israel and all this kind of stuff. The guy gives me a headache. I'm not going to say too much more about him because he's going to be here in New York at the United Nations on the 23rd of this month, next week. And I am sincerely hoping that when they show his speech, that they give a big wide shot of the speech and that we see everybody get up and walk away. Wouldn't that be just awesome? I think it would be. Well, in the same vein of foreign affairs, we got to take a look, folks, at the situation in Afghanistan. You know, a lot of people, even those who opposed the war in Iraq, favored the incursion into Afghanistan. After all, we were going after that Osama bin Laden guy who attacked us here on September the 11th, 2001. But we haven't gotten him, and in fact, there are some indications that Osama bin Laden may not even be in Afghanistan any longer. He may be in Pakistan. Meanwhile, not too terribly dissimilar, in my opinion, to what we saw with regard to George Bush and the war in Iraq, the mission keeps changing in Afghanistan. Why are we really there? If we're not there to get Osama bin Laden, and certainly most of the troops have not been deployed to seek and destroy him and the Al-Qaeda folks that he represents, are we there because of the poppy fields? Are we there to ensure that they have an election? And by the way, here's another comparison to the previous story that I spoke about. I don't see much difference between the election in Afghanistan and the one in Iran. Why are we really there? I mean, if we're going to send our brave men and women, and when I say our, I'm not just talking about the United States. There are Canadian troops there, there are British troops there, there are troops from other nations there. I think some Italian soldiers just died in Afghanistan. This is a NATO operation, unlike the Iraq invasion. But if you're going to make the most important decision to send your fine men and women into harm's way, into combat, then you have to be clear to them what the mission is, and you have to be fair to the people back home and explain to the mothers and the fathers, the sisters and the brothers, the daughters and the sons, and the neighbors and friends of every person that you send there, the reason why he or she is there, in my opinion. And if you're going to use my dollars to kill other people, then be clear to me why I am killing people over there in Afghanistan. I don't like it when they keep changing the mission and changing the reason why we were in Iraq or why we're in Afghanistan. Now, I don't know whether our guest today agrees with me on this, and I want to ask him also whether an oil pipeline may be the real reason I'm there. We're so glad to have award-winning foreign correspondent Steven Kinzer back with us. He's a former New York Times bureau chief in Nicaragua, Bonn, Istanbul. Kinzer is featured in Rethink Afghanistan, a video project of brave new films. Steven Kinzer, welcome back to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
That was a wonderful soliloquy. I hope I can match your eloquence. It's great to be with you.
Well, thank you for your kind words. And so I guess then you have already answered what my first question was going to be, and that is, in your opinion, did I appropriately set up this